Hello and welcome to DCP Survivor, episode number 262. This week, the crew is going to deep dive into topics, and someone will get voted off the island.
Someone's getting deleted tonight.
Who's getting deleted? Dun, dun, dun. That was these guys sprung that on me.
Will have to complete a challenge with their own pros and cons.
There you go.
Well, first, Mylan, what's our Australia fact of the week?
Yeah, please and thank you, good sir.
This is Australian Survivor, so there's Australian facts.
Yeah, Australian facts with survival.
I feel like, yeah, I have the homework due, and I'm like, oh crap, I haven't done it. So I started investigating what topic I'm going to pick, and then it just so happens the first thing I looked at is the thing I've chosen, because by the time I was umming and ahhing if it was interesting enough, time was out. So this is where we're at. Okay, so
I'm ready.
Let me pause real quick. So are you telling me that having to come up with an Australian fact each week is causing additional stress in your life and pressure?
No,
No,
A long pause.
no,
I'm happy.
no, not. It just,
I mean,
I don't want to say that. No. Okay, but I'm learning too. So guess what we've got in Australia?
snakes,
Birds,
spiders,
coconut
Close.
crabs.
Cockroach racing.
What?
Cockroach
okay.
racing.
Tell me more.
That's it. I'm moving.
It originated in Brisbane, as the United States might say.
Yeah, it was called
Brisbane.
Brisbane. Yeah.
Brisbane, in a pub, and it is now an Australia Day tradition.
Sounds like a
Where?
great tradition.
Oh, Australia Day.
They get a bunch of cockroaches, they put it in a big glass container, like vase. They've got little bit of cardboard on the bottom. They put it in the center of like a ring, a 6-meter ring. What's that in 3 minutes? 20 foot ring, and they see which ones run out quickest to win. And it's this. I ended up down this deep rabbit hole of watching YouTube videos about this.
Televised
videos?
cockroach races in Australia.
The weird
Oh
thing
Lord.
is they interviewed everyone while you're here, and the top answers were, I live down the road and I came to have a drink. My parents dragged me along. I'm here for the alcohol. And
It's a typical. What can we invent to get people together and get drunk?
Excuse to drink.
Yeah.
It's a good excuse.
Raise
to drink.
cockroaches. That's how
Yeah.
I get them.
There's
I got
quite a bit of
and
ceremony involved.
Yeah, I got a few questions about
gambling.
this. Like,
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gambling.
who
Yeah,
goes out?
gambling.
Who goes out
So
and catches
are
these?
the cockroaches numbered? Do they have racing stripes?
Yeah, do they got a jersey?
Okay,
Ooh.
this is what I spent like 45 minutes trying to work out, because I knew that would be Brian's first freaking question. I was like, how do they know who wins? And I could not work it out. They must put some marking on them somehow.
They put the vaccine in them, which has a tracking device, 5G network. That's how they know.
5G.
Yeah.
That pings them.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
GPS.
Yep.
So I don't know how they actually worked that out. And I could not. If you find the answer, you let me know, because there must be some sort of marking on the cockroaches. The cockroaches actually come from a university in Melbourne, I think.
Oh, they're
And then
educated.
These are educated
They're-
cockroaches
They're
that are
student
racing.
athletes.
There's an
Is
actual-
the NCAA involved? Are these athletes
No,
paid?
hold up. Is there an actual pedigree, like a long lineage of like championship cockroaches?
Well, that is very good comment, because that's where the United States took it, where they started looking at like breeding fast cockroaches.
Of course, sure.
To
I mean,
win.
if we're gonna bet, then we've got to start to, weigh the scales in our favor.
Do the cockroaches have a coach? Do they train?
Well,
Is it a team sport or is it a solo?
Oh, is it a relay
embarrassing-
race? Oh.
The embarrassing thing was, if you watch the video on it, the marching band comes out. There's almost like a ring card girl. They've got the coach teams come in and they put. And it's like,
There's uniforms.
welcome to Australia. Welcome.
Yeah.
Do you wanna have a shot at guessing the Hall of Fame? Now, if you had here's a question for you, for chat, for the YouTube comments. If you had a cockroach in the National Brisbane Cocky Roach race,
oh man, I'd be bragging so hard, bragging rights for days.
What would you call your champion roach?
Okay.
What's its name? I can give you a couple of examples in case.
Okay. Yeah, let's see what the vibe is.
Please do.
These are the current leaderboard, the current Hall of Fame. Okay. Soft Cocky.
Soft Cocky. Nice.
Like
Cocky Balboa. Cocky Dundee. Drain Lover. Priscilla, Queen of the Drains.
Oh.
Someone said just call it the cock, like the Rock.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good one.
Those are good names.
Liberace.
Liberace. Wow.
That is great.
Oh, brilliant. Honestly.
So there you go. Cockroach racing. Australians' obsession with gambling and weird things all tied into one.
I gotta say, first of all, I think you did an excellent job. I give you a passing grade. No further effort required.
Yeah.
This is a done deal. Passing grade.
Woo!
Wait, he's done with all the Australian facts forever?
No, we got to hear about chlamydia next week.
Yeah,
we should be talking about it right away because it's an official news thing that's happening right now. And
literally
we are
the biggest
where
news
people
in the
go.
community.
We are where people go
come to this
for
podcast when they need Australian news and Destiny news, the Venn diagram, those things connecting.
Yeah.
Did you know I have a Word document now called Australian Facts where you guys request things, but it also contains like all my notes on Australian Facts.
This is good. This is good.
Koala and chlamydia vaccine. Okay.
The cockroach names are fantastic. Speedy Con roaches.
Yeah, that was the best part.
Yeah.
I can't believe there's like an actual pedigree of like them trying to figure out the fastest roach, you know? Like it got serious.
I wonder
enough.
if there are like legacy roaches. Like, you know, I'm the third generation of roach that has attended this college and raced on this team.
The Usain Bolt of roaches, you know, like
attended this college. That's great.
Yeah. My father's father.
Amazing.
My father's mother.
I'm fifth generation college graduate.
That's right. Are there scholarships?
I imagine there's some roaches that live in really rich people's places, and there's other
rich roaches
that don't.
yeah,
racing roaches.
Definitely. They got like a gold
You
bed instead.
drain bolt.
It's sad because there's not a lot of opportunity for poorer roaches anymore because all the spots are taken up by the legacies.
Yeah,
it's really become a rich man's game.
Unless they can,
a rich roaches game.
If you watched the YouTube video, you would not be saying that because there's dudes with cork hats drinking VB.
I was surprised by how fast they seem motivated to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, they do.
It's like a second and a half and it's done.
Yeah,
right. The rest of the time of the video is them just trying to catch the roaches and put them back in the bucket.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, now that I think about it, it makes sense. I mean, roaches are fast. Of all the times I've been in Southern California, flipped on a light and seen some scattering, you know. Yeah, they're fast creatures.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, hey, the pricing structure for the next season
going right in there. Right.
Destiny. Destiny was announced this week. Did you guys think
Briar
of that?
just pulled up and started blasting. Briar's like, yeah. I hear your Australian facts, so I started blasting.
I hear your Australian facts, and I raise you a Destiny controversy.
Can we get the facts out straight? Because, like, you know, this came out on, you guys said Reddit, right? It wasn't officially announced by Bungie, or how did it come about?
It was a response by Cosmo to a Reddit post where Cosmo clarified that the two dungeons are not included in the base edition of Witch Queen, and they are only included in the deluxe digital version. And then that got screen capped and put on Twitter, and then sort of started the ball rolling from there.
Freedom
there
cries.
Were news reports on it. Started on the local news. It was good.
World leaders had to weigh in on Bungie's decision about the pricing structure.
Yeah, the UN got together.
There's a full investigation.
So what is the pricing structure then? Like, does anybody have that handy?
Oh, I actually saw really good. Someone put everything in a spreadsheet and what's been included in previous DLCs and what's been included in this DLC, and it is a little bit more expensive if you take into consideration like what dungeons have previously been included. I think it was $15 or $20, maybe more, and then on top of that you have the dungeons you pay for as well. So there was a slight increase in price, but for the reaction, it was probably. I don't know if people are they're obviously upset about having to pay for dungeons. I've got a couple reasons why I think that's happening, but if you actually look at the prices and what you get, I don't think it's been there has been a small increase, but it's not as dramatic, I think, as the response has been.
Mm-hmm.
I can see if I can find that.
I guess I
tweet, but
I thought the response was because they were unaware that you'd have to pay for it if you had already bought Witch Queen, right? Like the disparity in the discussion is that wasn't clarified from the beginning on the pre-order. So a lot of people bought the base version thinking that they were going to have access to that. Is that correct? Am I mistaken that?
It's hard to tell. Look, I don't know. It's hard to speak for why people are upset. I think there's lots of different reasons, and it doesn't always come across very clear. I don't know if one of the reasons was, I assume people expected because previously, dungeons have been included. So I think there's an element of expectation that you buy an expansion and you don't pay extra for dungeons.
Right. It's like,
so I think
you wouldn't pay extra for a raid if it's part of, like, if you bought Witch Queen, it'd be really weird to buy at the raid if you bought the base version, right? Like that's kind of the assumption behind it.
So I think that would probably started the initial sort of thoughts about it, being like, well, and I think that's just human nature. Like if your history is or your expectation is, I haven't paid for it previously, why am I paying it now? I don't think it even really matters if the prices are comparable. People are going to have a negative reaction just because they're going to feel like there's a bit that's been segmented, and rather than it being included in what you pay for, now it's segmented and you now are paying for it. And I think people probably feel like this could be a slippery slope for dividing up Destiny into more things to buy, regardless of, even if it costs the same. I think that is a scary thought for people. And to a certain extent, we sort of see that with the Bungie store. A lot of people didn't like the way the Eververse store was going, but a lot of people also started to accept that, this is what Bungie might have to do now that they're not with Activision to make sure that we keep getting great expansions and great content. So you sort of give up a bit of ground sort of deal. And I think this might sit in the same boat where you sort of, I don't know.
Where does it lead? Yeah. Where does it end type of stuff?
Yeah. Well, maybe there's a bit of concern about where it goes after this.
I guess the biggest thing for me is that because it wasn't clarified up front from when they announced Witch Queen, I think this is why you suddenly have like flames or, wind in fanning the flames for something like this. Because if it was clarified up front, I feel like people would have been like, you got to pay for extra for that? Well, all right, well, I do like playing Destiny,
If you click on all the links, so if you go to the Bungie website, now I don't know what it was originally. I just know if you the links now, it is pretty clear that the base edition doesn't include the dungeons. Whether you go to the Bungie website or whether you click on the you've got that little tab in your director. If you actually click on that tab in the director and you go like find out more, and it takes you to like the pages, you can see that it's not included. It's a little bit difficult on Steam because Steam just doesn't really highlight that information very well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was always been there and people just expected it to be in there, and then once they clarify, they're like, wait, what? It's not in there. So it's sort of that case of not necessarily checking exactly what's included, or them not being really clear with what's included.
There's also a sticking point that I think remains right now in that if you buy the Witch Queen Standard Edition for $40, that you get access to the Witch Queen, and then you want to buy the seasons as they come and the dungeons as they come, then you're actually going to pay more than the $80 that you would pay up front by, I think, a relatively significant margin, which, you know, for a lot of people, well, just buy the $80 version, but some people don't have $80 cash right now, right? It's like they're gonna, you know, this is something that they're gonna budget out for a longer period of time. They're not in a financial situation to drop $80 in February,
or they're just checking in for one season, and they don't want.
That's the other thing, is that it financially kind of, they clearly want you to buy all 4 seasons. They want you to buy the season pass up front, and
it's a package.
You'll save a little bit of money doing it. But you know, some people don't play every season. Some people see what the season's all about before they sign up. So I don't know. You know, it's like,
yeah, I mean, the track history of how things have gone with Bungie, I understand if some people are, you know, a little wary about whether or not they want to buy into a whole year of content, because there could be a season or two that they're like, I don't want to play Gambit all season. No thanks. I'm checking out, you know? So I understand that for sure. I feel like as hardcore players, like, of course you're going to buy the season pass or the deluxe or whatever type of thing, you know, like, I feel like that's pretty obvious.
I don't feel that being a hardcore player necessarily has anything to do with your financial situation. Like, you may be the hardcore player and still be like, I can only afford $40 right now, and it sucks that I'm going to have to spend more in the long run because I can't afford to buy it all up front.
So I get that, but I also don't think Bungie should be punished and not be able to produce content and not get the money that they need to be able to make this content just because, like, some people wouldn't be able to have access to it. Like, I see that. I definitely see that side, but I also think that Bungie is paying a lot of money to produce content right now, so they definitely need to. I mean, this is looking like a monthly subscription of like $6 or $7 a month now to play Destiny, right? Like, if you piece it across 12 months for the yearly content, like,
I don't think it's a bad deal.
No, right?
It's definitely not a bad deal.
I think I think most of the pushback just comes at the shock of it and the fact that it's almost like the people who can't afford it are going to pay the most for it, which is, you know.
I think a lot of the outrage comes
how it
from
is in life.
like, yeah, what you said of there's a precedent that is set, right? And then whenever something happens that is different to that, people are going to be upset, whether it's a fair price or not, whether it was like this before or not. I can almost guarantee you that if this kind of happened years ago, people would be like, okay, if that's just how the game was. But the issue is with Bungie, they keep changing their pricing structure of everything. Their pricing model is just all over the place. It's very confusing. Someone asked me, oh, I played the bit of the free version of Destiny. I really want to get into it. What should I buy? I'm like, I don't freaking know. I have no idea.
It's so confusing. If you've been playing Destiny, to take a look from an outside perspective to see how to get in, it's like, play the game.
I honestly wish somebody would make a video of answering exactly that question, because I would be happy to link to it. Like, just
Fallout
let me know that video exists. Did he?
I feel like Fallout made a brand new beginner's guide.
He may have,
Good.
Yeah, recently.
I'll go onto his channel and look for that, because
I think
that would be a worthwhile thing to have.
I think the consistency in purchasing will make a difference, because, you know, previously, for most people who have been playing games for a long time, you know, whenever you got your first job, you knew you needed to save up. If you wanted to buy into the next Call of Duty or the next Battlefield or whatever franchise you paid, you knew that you needed $60 US or you needed $100 Australian dollars, and you know, you plan that out. You're like, all right, I've got to do extra shifts at McDonald's, so when it comes around, boom, I've got my money ready, and I know I'll have a year's worth of content. And I think it's hard for, you know, people to plan for purchases when it keeps changing. And not only that, is that it's gonna cause frustration, because it just, for the simple fact, humans are habitual. We like things to stay the same. We like things to be predictable, and when things aren't predictable, you're gonna get people fired up. Even if it was almost the exact cost, just the pure fact, the gut reaction's like, now I gotta pay for it. I also think the Destiny content vault is something that is probably weighing in on people's minds now too. About, okay, so like, for example, dungeons now sit outside of technically seasonal content. They're separate from the Witch Queen, and they're separate from the seasons. You buy them separately. So how long do you get access to that? And is that information going to be somewhere? And when you already have hesitancy to purchase them, you put that on top of it, and I think it sort of and makes you feel even more like, how long will I have this for? It doesn't even matter, like, if you wouldn't be playing it after a year or 2 years. Doesn't matter if you. It's just the idea that you don't know when it might be removed.
Yeah, you see, that's the other confusion that's happening with Destiny's model right now. Like, we are technically buying into it and playing it as a subscription monthly fee style model, but they're selling it as you're getting access to this expansion to feel like, oh, you have ownership of this expansion that you can go back and play at any time in the future. And it's like, that's clearly not how Destiny is anymore. Things that you've bought in the past, you don't have access to anymore, and the game has shifted and changed. I mean, that's a different discussion for whether the pros and cons of that. But like, you're right. The confusion with the pricing structure is going to rile up people even more.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, for sure.
I think one of the things that, and I know this is hard to plan for, because that the reason is Destiny is this living, breathing service, right? And it's changing, and a pandemic happened, which I'm sure is one of the reasons for an increase in just the general price of Witch Queen, and probably, I imagine, made a difference with what we're paying for at the moment. But I sort of feel like when you go at the price of purchase, like the point of sale, when you buy something, I do feel like there should be a guarantee that, hey, you buy the dungeons at the time of release, you get it for 12 months. Or if a new player enters, right, and they buy it, like, what happens when they buy the dungeon separately a year from now?
Yeah. That, back in D1, that burnt my buddy. I convinced him to jump into Destiny. Like, it was basically July before the Taken King was coming out. And so he bought everything for that. And then 2 months later, a bunch of stuff shifted in the game. And then he was told he has to spend another, $40 or $50 or whatever to buy the Taken King. And it completely burnt him he never wants to touch the game ever again, because he's like, F that game. I spent $60, and then like 2 months later, I like lose access to all the stuff. And I was like, wow, that's remarkable. That's a way to sting people.
I kept hearing that story about how they would release DLCs right before Christmas. So you'd get a boxed copy of the game, which they don't sell anymore. So this is less of a problem now. But you'd get a boxed copy of the game for Christmas. You'd log on, and it would immediately say, you need to pay an extra $30 for the expansion. Like, before you even played it.
From a consumer perspective, that's really crappy for that to happen.
Yeah,
that is an interesting concept of them saying you will have guaranteed access to this content up to a certain point, because there's going to be people who buy into like possibly Beyond Light right now or something. Actually, I guess the stuff has shifted and changed a bit, but that,
like Forsaken, right? Like, you buy Forsaken now, you don't realize that. As far as I know, there's no warning saying it's going to be free December, and it's going to
going away
disappear
in 3 months after that or whatever.
Feb. Yeah. I think they should be.
Yeah, it would be nice to have the heads up. I have a couple thoughts that I don't know if they really mean anything, but one of them is that they signed us up and said that we're going to be getting consistent raid dungeon content.
Right.
From Witch Queen onwards, which makes me wonder, like, is that the reason why they put it behind like a guaranteed extra bit of money, right? It's like, if you're buying this, then we are guaranteeing that we are making X amount of money for making this content consistently. So I don't know if that's their reasoning behind that.
Yeah.
Another thing is, have they said that they're keeping dungeons around? Because it seems like they took them away, and then they were very quickly like, no, we need to have dungeons in the game.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if they've kind of signed up for keeping dungeons around.
Well, this is the issue. The fact that we're on a podcast talking about it and we don't know if that stuff is sticking around is...
It's very true.
The crux of the problem with their pricing
It's very
structure.
confusing. Destiny is confusing. It's confusing when you first get into it to know where the hell you're supposed to start, and it's confusing to know what you need to buy for what you want to play.
Yeah. And then,
No, go on.
I was just saying that we're entering that time where it's going to get risky to tell someone that they should buy everything that's available to play Destiny right now when the Witch Queen is right around the corner.
Well, I think Forsaken, you can still buy Forsaken, right? And that content's only going to be around for a few more months.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So,
I had this shower thought yesterday, and it was like, I just thought, you know what? The way they sell the expansions is backwards. And let me expand on this. So right now, right, Season of the Splicer led into Season of the Lost, which leads into the Witch Queen. Witch Queen's well, depending what happens in Witch Queen, but let's just assume that we get like a finale. So it's sort of like the Witch Queen expansion, that's actually the end of that saga. So when I think about advising people to, let's say someone end of next year says, oh, I want to learn about the Witch Queen, I would probably say you need to go and get Season of Lost, Season of Splicer, Season of Lost, and then play Witch Queen, because that is the story structure. To do that now, you have to buy the previous expansion and then the new, do you know what I mean? You have, the way it is, it's in between. When it's almost like, I wish the story arcs were, you start with the 3 seasons and then you finish with the big expansion and then you start the new cycle.
Also, are those going to be available?
It'd be nice if you bought like let's say a deluxe version, like Witch Queen Deluxe for $80. It'd be nice if it was like also a catch up. Like, okay, along with Witch Queen Deluxe, you get everything that came before it if you didn't have it. And like, yeah, that's gonna piss people off who bought that all piecemeal. But you also got years of play out of that by buying it piecemeal. Whereas a new player, they're not having to go back and figure out what do I need to buy off the Bungie store that's like still relevant, and like that would be really hard to explain, right? Mylan is like, I think you're right. You want Seasonal Lost, you want Seasonal Splicer to understand what's going on in the Witch Queen.
Yeah,
but it'd be like to go back and purchase that would be really confusing.
Yeah, but again, I think it's going away. I don't think you're gonna have access to that stuff.
Yeah, the seasonal stuff only sticks around for a year. So as soon as the new year starts, you lose the previous year's seasonal content.
Yeah.
Oh, does it stick around for a year after the calendar date of it coming to fruition?
Pretty sure
not seasonal content. Seasonal content's being treated differently than expansional content. Yeah, like expansions, I feel like they have
sticks around for
like 2 years, right?
However long.
Like it feels like at least 2 years for an expansion, but seasonal content, like it's coming and going as fast as it gets here. In fact, this year was the first one.
It used to just be around for 3 months.
Yeah,
this be one season.
Exactly. This year was the first time that they were like, all this is sticking around for a whole year.
Yeah.
And then, which further confuses, just like you're saying, if you were to recommend someone this saga of the Witch Queen, like it's just not going to be possible. They're going to miss out on the stuff that happened. It's going to be a YouTube rabbit hole to get caught up, right?
They're going to have to start getting Mylan in studio to do here's where we're at. So far on Destiny, last week on Destiny,
last season on Dragon Ball Destiny,
on Cockroach Fiesta.
I think overall, I think we're pretty all in agreement. We just need consistency, consistency in the pricing, consistency in the messaging, and what's included, what's not included, and I think that would put a lot of people's minds at ease. Yeah,
and for the record, does anybody here actually have a problem with paying extra for dungeons per year?
If I would prefer I got to pay, so we're talking about consistently, and I'm talking about like this is a consistent case of the way things are. If I got to pay an extra bit of money to mean that I get raids and dungeons throughout the year, and I know I'm getting them, I'm not like, oh, I hope next season's a dungeon. I know that there's a dungeon in the next season, then I would prefer that over paying a little bit less and not knowing when I'm going to get the next dungeon or raid. If that was the consistent thing, right? Like we're getting raids consistently, we're getting dungeons consistently, and that's what the money's for.
Yeah.
If it's consistent.
Yeah, for me, like as long as I know if I buy like the deluxe version and it's including the stuff that's coming, then I'm okay with that side of things, because I understand like these things have a financial commitment for them to support also. It's not that they just make it, they also have to support it. bugs happen and like things can occur over the course of 2 years with the content.
Yeah, I think
So this is the
I
most expensive expansion we've ever had at $40, right, for the standard, right? Is that true? Or it ties for the most expensive?
Beyond Light was 40.
But this one they've
Forsaken was
said
40.
previously was not going to be as big as Beyond Light.
I don't think I think they said it was not as big as Forsaken.
Oh, right, Forsaken. Somewhere between Beyond Light and Forsaken, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I don't know. I don't love that it doesn't come with the 2 dungeons. It would have been nice for $40 to get the 2 dungeons included. And I think they could have found another way to incentivize people to get the deluxe version that includes the season pass. I don't know. To me, I would have rather seen the dungeons included in the standard version for $40.
Mm-hmm.
I think, we're obviously all in a unique position where we are going to get our value for money, almost.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's something that
I'll be buying the
every
$100
week.
version.
Right. So, in general, though, I just want more clarity and consistency. So I would probably say that I'm not enthused by the change for sure. And I think I'm with Watts. If it's like, hey, we're guaranteed, dungeons are always going to be sold separately, and this is the cadence of release. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. But Bungie does need to commit to that cadence and that price point.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's ultimately, I think it's players not really knowing what they're getting. And then as soon as things kind of settle and you think you understand what you're getting, it completely changes. And then it's like, God damn it. So I do think a lot of the rage just comes from lack of consistency.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if you look at the price per month, like if you play every month, you're getting a really good deal for entertainment if you play the content every month. Even if you don't play like say 1 or 2 weeks of the month, you're still getting really good content. It like ends up being like $6 or $7 or $8 a month for that stuff. So even if it was a subscription model, which is kind of like what you end up paying for in this game, you're still getting really good content for that.
I don't think they could go with a subscription model in this game the way it sits now because there's too many months with just nothing.
Yeah. Well, I feel like they've changed that. The seasonal model and the story beats and all that, I have dramatically changed it. We still have a few weeks from time to time in the seasons that don't have the content, but for the most part, I felt like they've really cracked that nut of trying to get someone to check in at least a few hours a week.
If I wasn't on this podcast, I probably wouldn't log in from the last week of the story of Season of the Lost till probably the 30th anniversary stuff.
Yeah.
Like Festival of the Lost was, I don't know, a nice diversion, but like I literally played through like a couple of those Lost sectors. I was like, okay, I've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's till December, right? The 30th anniversary stuff? Is that November?
Oh, yeah. When is that?
December.
December?
December, yeah.
So they got to have something in November.
Just before or after Halo Infinite? I want to say it's around the time of Halo Infinite.
Oh,
just like Witch Queen's around the time as Elden Ring.
Yeah, perfect. You also save about $5 if you buy the $100 bundle, the Witch Queen 30th anniversary bundle.
Yep.
So every step up you take, you save a little bit of money on the way.
Yeah.
But you got to put it all up front.
They want you to buy a whole year's worth of content up front. That's
absolutely
what they would prefer. Yeah.
That's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that makes it from a business point of view that it's much easier to manage risk, right? Because they know people have already how much people have already spent and bought.
Yeah.
You've paid for the content, so they know how much resources they can within risk dedicate to seasons.
Yeah.
I think that's where this whole thing comes from, is they wanted to dedicate themselves to the consistent raid and dungeon content, and this kind of ensures that they get the money throughout the year, because it's not, the dungeons that are coming aren't Witch Queen dungeons. We're not going to get everything at once. It's for all the dungeons that are coming out throughout the year in year 5. So I really think that was the reason why they decided to go, maybe we should guarantee that we get the money to cover the consistent content. Yeah. Whether that's good or not, whether that's the best thing that they could have come up with, is the thing that's up for debate. But I think that might be what caused it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, this year is technically 15 months instead of 12 months for this year of Destiny because they had the they had to delay
Yeah.
Witch
true.
Queen. So again, not that I'm trying to defend Bungie's work schedule or anything like that, but it's worth noting that the pandemic happened and they needed more time to make Witch Queen a better expansion than it would have been. So anytime a company needs more time to make something more enjoyable, I'm always up for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting discussion. It's a very complex discussion too, from a hardcore Destiny perspective, Destiny player perspective. It's tough to go through the weeds on it to know, like, because most games don't have this problem, right? Like you buy the game, you play it, then you're
Yeah.
done. You're like, all right, moving on to the next game. This is a live service that's trying to sell it as like individual purchases and not a live service, but it's definitely a live service with what could be a
and I
monthly
put
fee.
far more time into Destiny than I put into most video games.
Yeah.
Like
Big same.
dollars per hour, Destiny's enormous value.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's the thing. Clarity, consistency is really what we need.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think everything will be a lot better.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think people consider, well, maybe they don't anymore, but you know, Bungie did have a reputation. It's like your friendly neighborhood game developer. And I don't think, you know, that's necessarily the case. I think we need to, when you think of Bungie, it's like another business. And
Definitely.
they're not there for charity. Yes, they want to make great games. They also want to make money as well.
Totally. They definitely want to
And,
make money. Yeah.
You know.
But also, people need to remember, like, keeping 1,000 people on payroll. You know, you're not doing that on like a few million a month. You know, that's expensive.
I mean, Bungie seems like it's expanded a lot too. So we
Yeah.
know that there's a lot going on, right? And there's a lot of people being employed and a lot of expansion happening. And
they have huge
but
overhead.
at the same time, that's not the consumer's responsibility to consider those things.
Yeah,
That's,
you're absolutely right. Yeah, it's not our problem as gamers to worry about Bungie's financial problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agreed. Well,
Our problem is to worry about how long it takes our cockroach to reach the edge of the ring.
Yeah.
That's what our problem is.
that's what keeps me up at night.
Or if there's any, anti-vaxxer koalas.
Oh,
Refuse
Christ.
to get their chlamydia vaccination.
Like, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I don't know.
Facts are koala.
So anyways, koalas.
Yeah.
You guys gonna check out the freelance playlist and trials this week?
I will.
Oh, what are we doing?
Yeah,
this week?
so gamers, tomorrow.
Gamers.
Freelance Trials is opening.
It's officially happening.
It's officially happening as a test. So it's
Solo-
not,
it's
we
a
won't
solo
be,
player's
we won't be
dream.
squatting up. Is that the case?
so the way that it's going to work is there's going to be a separate node that is Freelance Trials Labs. So you have the main mode, and then you have Freelance Trials Labs.
Oh right.
Yes. And of course, in Freelance, it's going to be solo only, so you can't duo, whatever. If you are playing with a duo or a trio, you have to go into the regular playlist. But if you're solo, you can hop into Freelance and see how that goes.
And the matchmaking for this is completely solo, like completely siloed
Should
from
be
each other, right?
two
So
pools.
you
Yeah.
cannot get matched with a full team if
It's
you're
not a
in
preference.
the freelance.
Please, it's
Yeah.
not a preference.
It's not a
Yeah, it's not a preference.
Well, what my worry is what if the population gets so low on one or the other that it becomes
yeah.
difficult to make
Well, that's
matches
what they want
in
to
a
test,
certain
I
region.
guess.
Yeah, that's what the test is for. Can it sustain not even 6 trials populations?
Yeah, this is the question. From my perspective as a player, I really hope the freelance playlist is successful, because when I do want to just jump in and play a bit, I would prefer to just get matched up with other randoms, on both sides. Like when I do see a team, more often than not, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And usually the team is super coordinated and crushes us. Sometimes we beat the team. That does happen, but it's not like, more often than not, a stacked team or a team is a stacked team and not a just buddies trying it out.
I feel the same, Teft. Like I would love for there to be a freelance trials that is here all the time and it works. But I've been very against having a separate freelance playlist because trials just historically has very low numbers, and trials at some point, even though we've had this massive resurgence, will get low numbers again.
Yeah.
And if they're keeping things the way they are now, I know they are changing things, but I don't know how fast that change is happening. The flawless pool is still going to be here. So you're going to we're splitting the population to freelance and regular. And then we're going to have non-flawless and flawless. And then last gen consoles are still separate from current gen consoles.
Wait, they are?
So that's, yeah. Yep.
Wow,
in PvP.
I thought they were connected. I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
like if you play with a full like PS5 team, you only play PS5 people.
Oh, I didn't realize that. This whole time I thought they were...
What if I'm on Stadia?
Yeah.
I don't know where the hell Stadia goes, Mylan. I don't fucking know.
Well, what are you laughing for?
Well, I mean, you would play Xbox people on Series X and S and Stadia and PS5 people if you're exclusively on that, right?
Yeah, but even if you get rid of like those, you still have the flawless pool and the non-flawless pool. So we still have 4 pools.
No, totally. Yeah, the flawless pool situation, we experienced it last weekend. We played, and just like, as you're predicting, the fact that there is there's a separation of the population of when they can play naturally creates basically another playlist that happens on Friday and Saturday.
Does.
Yeah, we experienced it firsthand. It was like, well, it was a different playlist. Different experience.
Yeah. Even playing on, like, going in on Sunday compared to Friday or Saturday, I came across so many duo and solo players, whereas on Friday and Saturday, I saw, like, none. I saw hardly any.
You went flawless, right, after with the flawless pool this week? Or, this week? Yeah. So I had the same experience. Well, no, I didn't have the same experience. I tried to have the same experience, but... it felt like original trials. Like I was talking to people, who's available, who hasn't done flawless yet, can we team up? But by the time I got it working, I had like 30 minutes and I had to run off and I didn't get it. I was like, no. And that's one of the things I don't, is hard is the coordination. So I'm sort of hoping that solo trials playlist, provides an opportunity where if I can't find a team, I can jump in and give it a crack. It'd be interesting to see if I could go solo flawless in the non-flawless pool.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And it is worth noting that DMG did say that matchmaking changes are planned for a future hotfix. So they don't have information on it yet. They'll give us information as soon as they can. But with the flawless pool, non-flawless pool stuff, they are planning matchmaking hotfix. Don't know what that's going to be.
Very interesting. I'm very curious to see what kind of adjustments. I mean, the first they got that bug they got to fix of people matching flawless.
It is
because
fixed.
That is fixed, yeah.
Yeah, that's in the hotfixes this week. I'll just scroll down.
Awesome.
So where is it?
That is great because that is a super annoying bug that I think also put a damper on our experience on Friday.
Yeah,
we were playing, right?
Fixed an issue that caused flawless players who reset their ticket to prioritize matchmaking with other flawless resetters for the first 2 wins on the new ticket.
Boo.
So it was it was rough. I'm very glad they fixed that. It's like these first games.
Oh, they were exhausting.
Hard.
If you get through them, you've basically most of the time you've already lost your free loss.
Yeah.
And then it gets easier. So you end up trying to get right up to your 6th or 7th game, and then you lose it.
Yep.
Yeah, this is gonna be fascinating. It's really interesting to see trials have like such a resurgence and then immediate kind of backlash from these changes, and then like the experimentation. I'm hoping, like I said, I'm hoping the freelance works, because I do like that option.
Me too. Yeah, I think
we're
it
all
would be really
skeptical
fun.
though that it's not going to work.
I'm very skeptical.
I think we all want it to work, but we're all skeptical that it's going to
But this
reduce
is
the
the thing
entire
as
population.
well. I'm scared that if they officially introduce it, maybe if they want to introduce it more permanently, they could still call it labs because you cannot introduce something like a freelance playlist and then take it away. There's no way, regardless of how dead it is or how bad it is or how much it's not working, people will be upset. So maybe just, how Fortnite's been in beta for like 20 years. Just keep the labs on there. Just keep it there.
Yeah.
And you go, well, testing's over, gamers. It's leaving. Testing's over.
I think it's extremely encouraging how much they're playing with this, though. They really are.
Yes.
Every week, Trials is up, tweaking it a little bit, trying to see what sticks, what works. Like, how can we provide the best Trials experience? And they don't seem to be afraid to turn those knobs right now because, hopefully they'll get it figured out. And by, next season, like they'll have the formula pretty much solved.
Yeah.
And they can kind of, the Crucible team hopefully can move on to the next thing as opposed to just focusing on Crucible for an entire season.
Right. Or
just focusing on Trials for an entire season.
Maybe they crack some sort of crazy complex algorithm for matchmaking, so it does do a little bit of the flawless separation, but factors in a whole bunch of things from the previous matches and all that. I know I'm sound like
after
SBMM,
feeling like they've just paid no attention to the Crucible whatsoever for like 2 years, to see this much activity based around Trials, I think is a good sign, right?
It is. The Crucible is important. I think Destiny suffers if they only focus on that, but Destiny also suffers when they completely ignore it. So there has to be some sort of balance. Like, Crucible needs to exist in a good place where it doesn't feel laborious or just excruciating to play after a couple games. And when you can just jump in and play for a few hours, have fun, and then go about doing other Destiny stuff, it's good times. It's good to play.
I've been thinking a lot about internal and external motivation and loot pools and how that impacts player populations. I haven't really got to the bottom of it yet because I actually want to open some of my old psychology books and have a bit of a look. But it's interesting how looter shooters fit into this idea because it is about the loot, and that's what gets people playing the game, which is very externally motivated. And you compare that to something like, I know Halo Infinite's very shiny and new, and we haven't been playing it for 7 years, so that's always going to be just fun. But you don't play Halo Infinite to get random rolls in a gun that makes your experience different in other activities.
Right.
You play it because it's fun. So I'm sort of going to this idea, and I think they're almost on the right track when they're talking about objective games, or at least experimenting with how you play Destiny with objectives. And I think that is something that needs a lot of time to make just it fun. Make the game mode fun. People want to be there. And then, of course, you need the external motivation. You need the loot in there as well. But the thing is, once everyone's got the loot, the populations die again. So, I hope they don't give up on objective stuff or ways that, whether it's Trials or Crucible or whatever, to make it fun. And it comes down to probably maps, objectives, and spicing it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think
just get excitement.
This week for the freelance, you're gonna get Trials reputation doubled. Oh, how about that for spice?
Yeah,
huh?
That's pretty good.
Spicy.
So if you want, the last time they did this, I got a ridiculous amount of engrams. You get a crazy amount of engrams just by playing a little bit. So if you're missing anything from Trials or you want loot from Trials and you haven't tried it yet, this week might be perfect. You can go in solos. You don't have to worry about teams, and you can get all the stuff you want. So give it a try. Oh, also this week has the seasonal challenge that will give you a Reed's regret when you complete the seasonal challenge. So
cool.
Yeah, a couple reasons to hop in, give it a try.
Definitely.
And especially if you want the freelance playlist to be a thing, you might want to play a lot to give them data that it's a thing that you want.
It would be wise to jump in and play as much as you can if you want to see it succeed.
Also sounds like the map's going to be Cauldron.
Interesting.
Because they specifically mentioned doors. They said there won't be any spiders clouding your view, which happened on Cauldron.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, man. You want to see an upset Destiny community.
Put spiders on the screen again.
Holy smokes.
That's funny. Yeah. Real quick, I just want to say, just comment on the like what you were talking about, Mylan, about how Halo had a fun gameplay loop, and
Yeah.
I don't know if Infinite's going to stick around, but you know, people seem to be enjoying Infinite because the gameplay loop itself was fun.
Yeah.
And I thinking back to Destiny 1, I had thought about this recently about how like there was less roaming supers. Even when they introduced Taken King, you know, you had hammers and then the Arc Warlock, floaty, you know, zapping crap like that.
Floaty Zapper.
Floaty Zapper, yeah. And then we already had Golden Gun and Arc Strider for Hunter. But there was just in general less options for roaming supers, and there was more like one-shot super type of stuff that was happening in D1. And then in D2, there's just so many roaming super options. Just so many one-hit kills, so many ability kills, like Shatter Dive. Good lord, Shatter Dive is so annoying. All the stasis stuff is incredibly mobile. Like, here's a roaming tornado. You know? So, I don't know. It's interesting to think about that.
I think one of the hard things is, you know, some maps you have 12 people playing on, and then other times you only have 6. And it completely changes the dynamic of a map. And it comes down to having that being really slick. And then when the thing with Destiny, you put all these other things on top of it, all the different combinations of supers you can have, which is only going to change when you get the Void, give players
Void
more options of how they
yeah.
play and their abilities. And you're just in this impossible, like, how do you even work that out? I don't know. Because some maps feel awful and some maps feel great, and it depends on the mode.
So you'd mentioned objectives, and I think objectives really are the key. Like if you have some good objective gameplay, it can really change the feel of PvP.
Changes maps, you know? It's like when in D1, when the massive maps you came up in rotation and you were like, oh man, I want to use a shotgun. If it's control, you can use a shotgun, or you can go, you know, scout rifle, sniper rifle because of the capture points. It puts the action in one place. So I've always thought that Destiny would be a lot better if it had more objective based modes.
Yeah.
Instead of kill thing in slightly different way.
Mm-hmm. Well, think about Overwatch. Like, obviously, Overwatch is very different, but their most successful game mode is objectives or moving objectives and all that. And they, you know, similar type of thing. A bunch of people have like these one-hit abilities that show up constantly, but it's balanced around that. And like, I do think an objective type of thing when it's focused, a good objective that's focused really would help fix the feeling that you're constantly getting like spawn killed by the same super. Yeah.
I see Chad talking about I feel like a lot of the maps are more 4v4 at max.
Yeah.
Unless you have a large map, just for what you're saying, just with the amount of roaming supers and abilities and combinations of people.
We got a lot faster. You know, these maps were also created before the Go Fast update. So they added more people on the map and made them all faster.
Yeah, if you wanted to use a shotgun, you had to get lucky and grab that ammo off the wall. Isn't that crazy to think about?
Yeah,
like
it is.
One person had to go get the ammo, and then they had like 4 shots of the shotgun. It's like, whew.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. This game has changed so much.
Yes.
Speaking of this game changing, actually, I just got a new graphics card. And I have started playing Destiny at 120 hertz at 4K. And I got to say, my draw is dropping again. Good Lord, this game looks good.
I bet.
It's handling that? That's nice, man. 4K is hard at that frames.
Yeah, 120.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
It looks really nice.
So you got your computer. It showed up in the mail.
Yeah, I went full Karen on FedEx. I had to. They told me it was lost, basically. And they told me finally that it was out for delivery. It did show up for delivery, so they told me to show up at the FedEx office at 8 p.m. I showed up at the office at 8 p.m. They closed at 8:30, and they were trying to kick me out at 8:30 because the driver hadn't come back yet. I was like, that's okay, I'll wait. Like, sir, we close at 8:30. I'm like, don't worry about it, I'll wait. Like, but you have to leave. I'm like, you can give me my package, or you can call the cops. One of those two things is going to get me to leave. So they actually had to call the driver, who is still in my town, and have him drive to my house, and then I was on the phone with my wife while she was signing for the package, and then I left.
Oh man,
That's amazing.
It's a $4,000 computer. Of course, you want that thing.
Then I paid $200 for next day shipping, and this was day 5 waiting for it, like by my door, because I had to sign for it. So it wasn't one of those things you could just drop off and you don't have to worry about. I had to sign for it.
But you know,
you can imagine how he was treating that. I'm lucky it works, because I imagine, oh, let me just get this out. Throw it onto the floor. It's delivery. Yeet.
That was one of my concerns, is that a computer on a FedEx truck is not a good thing, right? Getting rattled like that for days on end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain packages that are gonna make you act like that, and if it's got a $4,000 computer in it, you're gonna be on their ass to make sure you get it.
So it works.
Like, this wasn't my go-to response, right? This was after days of being lied to. Like, it'll get delivered today. Oh, it's in a shipping crate, so we can't get to it. There's another guy at the FedEx location. They said that his package was in a shipping crate in the back, and that it was too hard to go find it, so they wouldn't go get it for him.
What the crap?
Yeah.
And he's looking at you going, I'm not leaving, like pitching a tent in the
I'm not trying to like make FedEx guys' day harder, but I just wanted this like to be over, right? It's just give it to me and I'll leave you alone forever.
Did you
then when I booted it up, it wouldn't turn on, and I was like, oh shit, am I gonna have to send this back?
No way, really? Was it busted?
Again. It wasn't busted. I had to reset the CMOS and it fired right up.
Oh my God.
The couple people in chat who work at FedEx said you did good, Briar. So
You did good. You did good.
I wasn't trying to like make anybody stay miserable. I just didn't want to deal with it anymore.
You should let the company know that you bought the computer from how it went with FedEx.
Well, that's my next thing, is I'm trying to get refunded for my next day air.
Yeah.
Because I paid $200 for next day air and did not receive that service. So I feel like,
and then you say, hey, talk to FedEx about it. They are the ones that made me do this.
Yeah, they were the one that.
That's not my problem anymore. Bye.
Shouldn't be the badness.
Luckily, you're a trust fund, baby. So even if you had lost that $4,000,
I just ordered 3 more. It was
3 more, right? No problem.
You ordered them just in case it didn't turn up. You're like, this one's taking a while. I'll order this one. It might come in.
You got to have them for each room.
I got to have
right?
2 3090s.
Yeah. Depends on which room you're in at the given time. Like, you got to have a 3090 machine in there,
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Don't want to be too far away from a 3090. It is an impressive graphics card, though. It is chonky. It's like, I want to call it Podrick, because it is an impressive member.
An impressive member.
Well, I'm happy you got your computer. Sucks you had to go through that.
Yeah. I was glad to get it done with, though.
Yeah. Anything else in the Destiny world that we should be bitching and moaning about?
Do you want to bitch and moan how you don't have a fashion emblem?
Oh, right.
A little bit. I didn't enter, though, so it really kind of can't.
If I put some effort into it.
There's a new one, and this is for the very first fashion emblem that was around. The best emblem.
Ah, the best one.
So this one is for Festival of the Lost. So you can submit on Twitter or Instagram or your community creations portal. And you have until October 31st to enter. And this is, of course, Halloween themed or Festival of the Lost themed.
Nice.
Go get your emblem.
Yeah.
Make something cool. There's also another emblem for making pumpkin art. So if you want to carve up a pumpkin, you can submit that and get an emblem.
What's the most famous
they
roach?
even put stencils on the webpage that you can print out. And
Our stencils.
Should put, Witch Queen logo and then the most famous race-winning roach on there, in honor of...
I've never carved a pumpkin.
Me neither.
Same.
Oh, okay. It's not like a...
None of you have ever?
Maybe when I was like 7 or something, but I don't remember
I never have.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever had a like a big pumpkin.
I don't think I could buy one. I don't know where I'd buy one. Shops don't really sell pumpkins here.
No pumpkin patch?
Not whole like that. Not like big.
Do you guys do Halloween in Australia? Is that a celebrated thing?
It is getting more popular, but it's not. It's nowhere near what it is in the US. It's You know, I'll be surprised if we get one person come to the door on Halloween.
Well, it's a reason.
But we also
to
live
sell
at the
candy.
back house, so we're a little bit scarier in that.
Oh, you're the spooky house.
Yeah. When we
Don't
go down
go
the
to
dark
that place.
driveway, and they hear me yelling on Twitch. Ah! Like, okay, let's leave that.
Kids walk up to the house, they just hear screaming. They just yelling about what's his name, Steve,
They go, you don't want to
the
mess with.
teabagging guy.
You don't want to mess with
Oh.
Podrick.
Yeah, leave him alone.
The wife and I were watching like a show about the making of the Halloween movie, the movie called Halloween, and they had mentioned that they filmed that in the spring, so that there were no pumpkins around, and they're like, it's pretty hard to find pumpkins in the spring, and I've been walking around the house saying it's really hard to find pumpkins in the spring all fucking day, but it is really hard to find pumpkins in the spring. You guys should carve a pumpkin. That'd be a fun thing to do.
Yeah,
You should
that's
do
what
it.
I was just
It's
thinking.
fun.
That could be content.
Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah,
messed
I
up.
don't know how I'm
Content.
gonna-
True.
Content.
Or living your life, Mylan. I don't know, having a good time, enjoying it, spending time with family.
You can bake your own
Or
pumpkin seeds.
mastering
That's really
pumpkin.
easy.
Yeah, but pumpkin would be. I like pumpkin seeds. Good on the salad.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
fun to do.
pumpkin.
I feel like I would injure myself. Is there any statistics on how many people cut themselves with pumpkin carving
Probably.
every Halloween?
Yeah, it is probably a control group. A
Yeah.
number.
The key is to use the biggest knife you can find and make it a little bit dull.
A samurai sword.
So it kind of slips off of the pumpkin instead of diving into it. Yeah, samurai sword would be perfect.
Yeah.
A novelty shop samurai sword.
Where one of my first jobs was with hand injuries, and we would have people, mostly avocados, people trying to de-pip avocados would cut their hands and cut tendons and stuff. That was like the most injurious fruit.
Wow.
It's
That's good to
avocado.
know.
Yeah, I kind of sliced my hand open trying to open a salsa jar.
Oof.
Yeah?
Rough.
Wait,
Yeah,
Sausage.
are those twist off?
yes.
Did it
It was a little
Right.
stuck. So I had to I tried smacking it on the surface.
Ah.
So I started stabbing it, and then
Do you have the rubber band technique?
Right.
I tried so many things. And you know what I did? I didn't go to the doctor or hospital. I just put because it was right in between my thumb and my index finger.
Oh, that
right
little
down
webbing right there?
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, I could see the
yikes.
muscle.
Oh.
So I just put my hand together and wrapped it up and held it like this for like a week. And I was okay.
Wow.
Good.
Fire Mylan. Don't need
Oh,
you guys.
It's going to be like a
Do
Johnny
not-
Tremaine story. Now my hand is glued together like this.
Yeah, shows you range of motion. What? She's like, I've got full range. Is that you moving the thumb?
I just want to
I
point
have
out.
a
He's a
scar.
mouse.
I just have a scar. That's it.
I just want to point out that Mylan said that his previous was it your previous job?
My
Or
first
first-
job as occupational therapist. Yeah.
You were giving people a handy. Got it. All right. Moving on.
I knew you were gonna go. This is why I didn't
Potty's
say.
first handy.
Potty's first handy, mate.
I was a hand therapist, and this is why I don't say hand.
Is that what they call it now?
Yeah, exactly.
Giving people a
This is why
handy.
I didn't say it.
Oh, Jesus.
And what?
I appreciate that you're out there destigmatizing sexual workers.
Yeah. Good on you,
okay.
man.
If you could
Should we
do
do
some
some
of that
Twitter
work
questions?
for our Patreon, that would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be
Special
a hell of a bonus.
special $1,000 tier.
Yep, $1,000 tier. You get to fly to Mylan, and he'll pop that old handy
I
potty.
feel like Mylan's hand jobs are worth more than $1,000.
Game of Thrones is over.
But I'm
Potty's
not
gonna
sure.
do what Potty's gonna
Yeah.
Oh man.
Should we do some Twitter questions?
We should.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was watching TV with my wife, so I didn't organize them yet. So I'm just going to read them in random order.
Sweet.
Cool.
Hugo Rune says, do you find salespeople who repeatedly use your name in conversation friendly and trustworthy, or do you feel that they've just read a book about how to engage with customers and are consequently slimy and strange and have no idea how to engage with humans?
The second one.
this went
The second
this
one.
went off. It was like, you always find them strange, scummy, the worst. You hate them. You want them to die. It's like, okay, it's Jesus.
Someone's had a bad experience.
Yeah.
I do this as a
Yeah,
customer. How does it make me as a customer? Because I'll read somebody's name off their name tag and then refer to them by name. Or if I'm on the phone with somebody, I'll ask what their name was. Like, if you know, sometimes they rattle off their name and you can't quite hear it. So I'll ask again, like, what was your name? And then I'll use their name when I'm talking to them. Because I feel like it makes a personal connection as opposed to just...
Yeah. I tend to do it naturally with, like, if I meet new people, or even if I'm just talking to friends, I'll normally, like, my first part of the message will be their name, or like, hey, person's name, and then I'll say something. But I do feel the sales thing is creepy, because their whole job is to get me to trust them to want to give them money.
Yeah.
Well, and that it's going to help to make a personal connection, and that's what using your name is trying to do. Yeah.
Right. I feel like you can always get those vibes of, like, when a salesperson is, of course, they're always trying to sell you something, but it feels very different to someone just kind of talking to you about the product and then overly trying to sell you the product. And when I get the vibes that I'm being sold to, I don't like it. I get angry, actually. It's not creepy. I get upset.
Best Buy's got this thing going on right now. It's like a $200 protection plan. That's like, it's like a yearly fee for $200 to buy into it. And every time I've been in Best Buy for like the last 3 weeks, I've just heard people trying to do the hard sell. So they must be like really incentivized to sell this thing. But it's like, it's kind of a hard sell because it's $200 yearly for a warranty.
Yeah.
I think this question, when I heard it, is more about when you ring up customer service. Like, for example, if Briar did have to send back his PC and he rang someone up, it'd be like, oh, thank you for calling, Briar. Okay, Briar, can you just give us your number? Oh, very well done, Briar. I'm just going to put you on hold for a second, Briar. Like, shut the frick up. I know my name. I know what you're doing.
Yeah. So the thing is, when it's detectable, if you can detect too many blips of your name coming up on the radar, something's off and you're less likely to buy. So, little sales tactic: don't drop your name too many times for the person. Don't. But
learn it.
Learn it, but don't overuse it.
Yeah, it is a good mnemonic device too. So just repeat it when you first meet somebody a few times, because it helps it stick.
Yeah, true.
Because there's nothing more embarrassing than meeting somebody and then like an hour later being like, "What's your name again?"
Yeah.
Like, it really makes it feel like a tool bag. Uko says, if you all got trust fund Briar money and each bought a boat, what would you name the boat?
The Podrick.
I'd name it after my race-winning cockroach.
Yeah. What were some of the good ones? What was the Liberace? Liberace, that was great.
That was a good one. Liberace
was really
was a good one. It's also a good boat name.
Yeah. Matt, is
Mylan's very interested in this conversation, or we've lost him.
The camera's broken.
Look at that. That's the model look right there.
Yeah.
Look at him. The smoldering gaze. He is about to model his prize-winning cockroach's new merch.
He's about to give someone the handy.
Oh, come on. Oh, no.
I'd call my boat Silence of the Lambs, so it's not suspicious.
Oh, we're back.
That's great.
That doesn't sound suspicious.
I'll invite Briar over to my Silence of the Lambs.
You got on your boat there. I've never seen one like that. Hey, Blaze says, I recently started getting insomnia as a side effect to a new medication. Do you guys have any tips to help fall asleep and stay asleep? Hey, drink like 6 beers. That usually does it.
Videos.
I do have advice.
I do.
But it may not be legal in your state.
It could not be correct for you to do.
Edibles?
I have been I've been listening to Sleepcast by Headspace. It's like an app, and it just tells a really boring, relaxing story, and it helps a lot to get to sleep because your mind's not focusing on whatever you're worrying about during the day or whatever. It's thinking about this story, which doesn't go anywhere. It just it's like Lord of the Rings. It's describing trees and shit. You know, it's like it doesn't go anywhere. It's not exciting, but it's relaxing.
Lord of the Rings doesn't go anywhere.
Well, you know, some sections.
I used to use the History Channel. I used to put my sleep timer on the TV for like an hour and just have the History Channel playing in the background because it was
History Channel's a good one.
It was usually just interesting enough that my mind, like I would be focused on it. My mind wouldn't be like thinking about the bills I have to pay or the shit I got to do to the house or, you know, which kid's got to be where tomorrow or stuff like that. Now I usually listen to podcasts, but that can backfire because every once in a while podcast is so interesting that it keeps me up because I'm listening to it.
Yeah, my go-to is like no talking hiking films on YouTube. It's really nice. Yeah, some nature.
I did watch something similar actually, Tufty, where it's like people walking around various locations at night. So it'd be like walking around Tokyo at night in the rain.
I know that YouTuber. Yes, that's great. I mean, I don't personally know the YouTuber. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, they're just so relaxing, you know. It's
be like Tokyo in 4K for 1 hour walking around the streets.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
And like Kyoto and stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is so relaxing. Oh, they go down the little tiny streets, so you have the all little mom pop tiny Japanese stores, and it's cute and relaxing. Those are great.
Every now and then they'll buy like a soda out of the machine or get some sort of street vendor food and be like, this is great.
It is. It's just great. So that's a great one. That's a good thing to do. Other than that, melatonin works well, decently.
If worse comes to worse, go to Tefty's Twitch channel and look way back. It's 3 years old now. And go find the Roller Coaster Tycoon streams he was doing. What was the name of that game?
Those were the best.
What was
Planet
the name of that
Coaster. Was it
Planet Coaster?
Planet Coaster.
Fuck, man, that was relaxing to watch.
That was the best time period that Twitch has ever had in its entire history. This is what the world needs. We need late night, Tefty, like coaster stream tycoon. Or zoo or hospital, prison, whatever.
Building a prison or managing a prison?
Yeah, I played it. It's pretty fun.
Do you get to be the tower guard, sniping someone who's trying to escape?
Wait,
sounds stressful.
Age of Empires, Tefty. There's a new Age of Empires coming out.
When does it come out?
Man.
This week?
That might be too, because that's real-time strategy. I don't know. That might be too.
That could be exciting.
It will be a little exciting.
When you're bringing your fleet of trebuchets ready to knock down the village next to you, it could be a little exciting.
Yeah, there might be some war cries, you know, every now and then.
It's the superior siege machine. Christopher Schimmel says, half statement, half question. Deepstone Crypt Raid Jacket arrived in the mail today, and it's legitimately an amazing mix of form and function. It's beautiful, warm, and well made. Would you guys wear this while munching on some... You son of a bitch, Christopher. You look fantastic in that jacket, but you're still a son of a bitch.
Some delicious briar.
Yes, I would. Although barbecue briar might make me warm and toasty inside, and then the jacket might be too hot.
True. Overheat.
Spring jacket for eating people?
Yes.
You want to dress in layers when you're committing cannibalism. You don't want to get meat sweats. That jacket is fucking dope, though.
It is a very, very good looking jacket.
Quaid6 says, pick a character from Destiny to dress up for as Halloween. Briar, you can't choose the end titty. That sucks. I'm totally choosing.
Fine. I'll be the end titty.
I mean,
Callus. Gotta go Callus.
It goes like Callus, and I can just stuff my face full of food.
Yeah, imagine making like the most expensive, intricate Callus cosplay. Wow. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'd want to go as the Taken King Raid Oryx.
Ooh,
like 30-foot tall Oryx?
Yes.
Space Oryx.
Turn up to someone's house. Candy, please.
All of it.
Just imagine the huge head, you know, the big bits in the head. Like you can't get through doors and stuff.
Justin Brown says, DCP, I upgraded my Wayfinder compass out of order. I didn't notice the quest calling for specific upgrades. Now the quest calls me to purchase an upgrade I already have. I've been stuck for weeks. Anyone else have this issue or heard of it? Haven't been able to get any help. That's weird.
My mom had this issue and she was looking at the wrong node. Because there's one node that's like the same name as another node, but one has Astral in front of it or something.
Yeah.
So make sure, just double triple check that. If not, abandon the quest and pick it back up, because then it should just
good tip.
kind of reset it almost.
Clino says, when are we going to see Log Power Slave as a guest again? I think everyone would benefit from a full DCP DDU episode. Log actually answered this one.
Yeah.
He says, let's not rush into ruining 2 podcasts, shall we?
Would be a great guest.
That would be awesome.
Yes, we definitely got to do it.
It would have to be some sort of podcast war. I don't know where I would sit on it, but would need
the return of the podcast showdown. I think this is it right here.
Podcast showdown. Yeah. Oh, what would you do? Is there Halloween games you play?
Or
is it just trick or treating?
For apples? Is that
scaring
a Halloween
people?
Game? Bobbing for apples?
Bobbing for apples.
Yeah. Is Pin the Tail on the Donkey a Halloween game where you spin somebody around with a
birthday
blindfold
game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a birthday.
Oh yeah, I think
game.
it's birthday.
Yeah.
Murder the Co-eds? That's a well-honored one.
Spin the bottle, but you have to go to creepy locations to do the kissing. Yeah, that's probably a Halloween thing.
You saw
I thought that was just
kiss
a
log?
teenager thing. Trigger Blade X says, you get 1 free punch on a Destiny character you can't kill. Who do you punch and how hard? Crow, as hard as I can.
Honestly, I don't really mind any of them.
I would punch the Cryptarch as extremely aggressively.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's mostly just like latent hate from Destiny 1, I bet.
No, it's all because he's super smug. Every time. Oh,
He is smug.
Guardian. Like, shut the hell up.
Maybe Brother Vance before he disappeared.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too.
Just really put the boot in. Just for the arrival of the pyramid ships. Oh, yeah, that actually would have been a good one, too.
Yeah, too late now. I mean, you could always punch a dead body.
Yeah. You could still go do it, right? Her body is still there. If it's
probably easy on the hand, you probably just like sink right into the decaying flesh, right?
She's an exo, Brian. Do I have to explain everything to you?
Good point. Still gonna hurt though. Still gonna hurt.
Douche, ow, me hand.
Punching metal.
Player 2 says, I might be late, but I just hit the pinnacle cap on my hunter. What will I miss out on if I take a bit of time off? I just started playing a month before season 15. First of all, you're not late. I still haven't hit the pinnacle cap.
Yeah. Well, if you take a break between now and the 30th anniversary, you technically shouldn't miss anything.
Just
maybe
GMs,
an Iron
really.
Banner.
GMs if you want to get Ascendant materials and Masterwork stuff, but if you're happy with all your gear,
yeah, if you're happy with your armor and your exotics, you've got all that stuff.
Yep.
Go do, if you don't have the exotics, go do the lost sectors.
But don't miss an episode of DCP.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to be at the peak readiness for which cream.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Not to get into a big old discussion about light level stuff and all that, but I do think this is one of Destiny's problems right now is that once you do hit Pinnacle, like the reasons to go and do stuff as Pinnacle cap reached is pretty limited. You know, you got your Grandmasters, you got a few PvP activities, but not a, you're not missing out. You know what I mean? On the Destiny experience. But anyways.
I mean, there's always been lulls in Destiny.
Yeah.
Right?
Lulls in Destiny for sure.
Now than they've ever been. But
yeah.
Fateless Nerd says, in the spirit of being in close proximity to Halloween, what is one fear that you can't understand people having? You cannot understand.
Can't understand an irrational fear.
There's people that are like scared of balloons, but I get that. It might pop. That's scary. Might catch you by surprise.
People are afraid of balloons.
People are afraid of everything. There's a thing that everyone is afraid of one thing. A thing.
I don't get people being afraid of clowns. Like I understand
You
like
don't?
Because
Yeah.
they're
Have you ever seen
serial
it?
so even it, I'm like, some crazy dude.
Have you ever heard of Patrick Wayne Gacy?
So I get the creepiness of a clown. Like I think that's different from fear of clowns. Like someone
Yes.
being terrified of someone who has the honker and everything, you know? Like I don't get that. Having a
This one makes all the sense in the world. I think if you had a bad clown experience as a kid, it could easily manifest later in life as a phobia.
I mean, I feel like that could happen with anything. Like I got stung from a bee when I was a kid, and I developed a fear of bees. You know, so like if I hear buzzing around my head, I can have the kind of like an overreaction to buzzing. But like, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with it.
A friend of mine's wife is actually like really phobic about any mascot character. Like at a hockey game or a ball game, when the mascot is around,
Really?
she can't take her eyes off of it, and she is really like having like almost a panic attack while she's looking at it.
Wow.
Any of them, doesn't matter who it is.
See, now that's a phobia. That's where, like, you know, if you're have a genuine fear of clowns, a clown will come and you'll freak out or run away or whatever, and I'll just go, oh, creepy.
Yeah.
So,
Do you understand that fear, Briar?
I mean, it's probably a very similar one to the clown thing. I mean, it doesn't affect me, but I can understand somebody being afraid of somebody dressed in like a skanky, sweaty outfit. You don't know who's under there.
A
Be some kind of pervert.
sweaty alligator?
That Florida gator is a pervert, I say.
What's the Gritty? Yeah, Gritty. Scared.
The Only Blade says, who is going to be doing the hard mode missions with Witch Cream? If available at start, who's going to attempt them?
well, you see, I was going to, and I still might, but now Elden Ring's coming out 3 days after Witch Queen.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I.
Decisions will have to be made.
It depends, right? Because I'm sure if you do the hard mode ones, you're gonna level up quicker, but that's because they take longer. So does it make more sense to do, in efficiency wise, to play normal mode and then do other stuff to level up, or is it just faster to just, even if the harder missions take longer, to just do that?
Yeah.
I wonder what the date on the raid is going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How long?
It's been like 2 weeks and on a weekend, right?
Yep.
Is generally what
think
it's
it's around
been
2
for a
weeks.
bit.
Yeah.
In a weekend, yeah.
I see the day one raid. I definitely want to do it, and I will do everything I can to be as prepared as possible. But I think for me, day one races now are more so about like, well, we haven't finished a day one raid in a little bit, so
Yeah, that's
it's more just about getting in there when it first launches and seeing what the theme is, and just experiencing it right away is so much fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's a pinnacle of Destiny is experiencing a day one raid, regardless of if you pass it or not.
Yeah.
There is something truly unique about solving Destiny puzzles as a team of 6 when there's no solution yet. And
Yeah,
that's
for
really
sure.
fun.
Yep.
But you obviously have to be high enough to get in there and not just instantly die. So you don't have to be max everything, like every different set of gear. You just need to be enough. You need to have enough power level that you can enjoy the experience, which I think they made pretty reasonable. I don't know what it was for. What was it for Beyond Light? It was pretty reasonable, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty obtainable with the whole the 24-hour limit thing.
Yeah, the 24-hour one, right? The contest mode was
mode.
Yeah,
very doable to reach.
Didn't have to be at max level or anything to do that. I think.
Dreadnought says you can permanently change any item's price to just $1. What item would you choose?
Graphics cards.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're really not gonna be able to get them then.
True. Oh,
is it just $1 for you or everyone?
Yeah.
I think for everybody, you're changing the item's price.
Okay.
Well, then if it's that case, it would be something that I use all the time, right? One of the staples that you're buying constantly throughout your entire life.
Yeah.
So toilet
That's
paper,
tough.
paper towels, gas, food, or a food item, even.
Yeah, housing.
Cars.
Rent.
Rent would be a good one. I would instantly move out of this house.
Mortgages are $1. Any mortgage I get,
Yeah.
$1.
But for everybody gets a house for $1 a month.
That's great.
Everybody. That'd be dope.
Coffee. I get coffee. No, you can almost get that yourself.
Just go for the rent is $1, and then you got plenty of money left over for all the coffees.
Yeah, but if
Sandwich.
everyone, do you think if this happened, everything else would just get expensive? Like if you took a big
So
thing
here's
like rent.
here's how I think about these questions. You have to frame it as this is a fantasy question that's not going to impact the socioeconomics of the world. And we just happen to have $1 housing in addition to everything else being normal.
Think about all the income that would free up for so many people. So many people would no longer have to work 40-hour weeks to afford their rent.
But
So many more people would have free time.
But then prices will go up, Briar.
Maybe it's worth it. Maybe the prices going up, but people having more free time is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we don't have to be a slave to capitalism any longer.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It'd be nice.
Omega222 says, you have a professional cosplay budget and materials. What Destiny character do you... Oh, we already answered this one, so we're going to move on. Logan Gramling says, which side of the dungeon debate would Savathun be on? Better yet, did she cause this controversy to make us fight each other? Oh.
Wow.
Savathun thinks that every time you play a PvP match, you should be charged 25 cents. So 25 cents a match. It's like putting a quarter in. All PlayStation and Xbox are going to get one of those quarter slots you see at a arcade. And every time you want to play a PvP match, you got to put a quarter into your Xbox.
Sounds great.
I mean, it would be funny if Bungie was like, jokes. This is just a setup for Witch Queen. Sorry about that. Dungeons are free. Jokes on you. Savathun trickery. La la la. But I don't think that's the case. Do you reckon Savathun tricked everyone? I mean, it's caused infighting between the community, of course.
Yeah.
She does like to break the fourth wall. Maybe she's going to come out of the video game soon.
That would be amazing.
I was watching a video about the pricing structure, and one of the points they made was this seems like a slippery slope. And I was thinking to myself, toward what? Like, what is at the bottom of this slippery slope? Because with like microtransactions, it was pretty easy to see where that would head, right? It's like, and we have seen. But with this, like, I don't see this as a slippery slope. I mean, prices are going to go up, but prices go up for everything all the time. But are they going to do a la carte Destiny where like if you want all the strikes you got to pay, if you want all the Crucible maps you got to pay? I don't see that happening. Like, it's got to stay a package.
Yeah.
I don't really see this as a slippery slope.
I mean, I think I would put it in the same category as raids, or some exotic missions are pretty close to dungeons. Like their Presage is up there for being an excellent thing, and we know that what was the one for the Siva gun was paid for with transactions for the Whisper of the Worm, right? So
yeah.
That's where I think we're probably going towards. And I say slippery slope is these one of dungeon-esques, old raids, old vaults, additional raids. Don't know.
The way I see it is Bungie wants a typical player to pay X amount per year for their content. And that's how they're getting people to do it with this. So if there was a slope to slide down, it would be them wanting to charge insane prices for all of the year's content. So instead of like $100 a year, it's like $300 a year for all of the same content. And then this is excluding silver. Like silver transactions are separate. So that I guess that's where it could go, but I don't see them doing that. I mean, I could see the price of the yearly content getting a little bit more, expensive, but I feel like $80 to $100 for all of the year's content is, pretty typical.
That's the price of like a special edition game these days, right?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
MTL Rocker says, what editions of the Witch Queen should I buy if I play on 2 systems, Xbox and PC? You gotta buy them both. I mean, you gotta buy. Sorry, bud. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you owe $160 minimum. Maybe 200 if you want to play the 30th anniversary stuff on both. What if you buy the 30th anniversary on Xbox? You get the stuff like the Thorn armor. Is that going to be on your PC account, or do you have to buy it on both?
I imagine it wouldn't be locked but I don't know. I imagine you could do the activity, get the loot, and you could cross save your loot to your other characters, on standard editions. I think.
Interesting.
Got to pay to play.
Yeah. I do feel like that's the other side of it that they got to figure out, the whole what licenses you have per platform if they're going to do some of this stuff. But anyways.
I'm setting up a gaming PC in my living room. I've decided. Because
or just move to Xbox and use Game Pass, get everything. Although you won't get the dungeons.
I really like playing Destiny with a keyboard and mouse. Like, I just don't like using a controller that much. I like a keyboard and mouse.
Interesting.
And I like 120 hertz 4K, turns out. I didn't, who would have thought that's actually pretty cool?
That's pretty nice.
Plu says, I was really high when I thought about this, but here's my question. If you witness your ex get into a car crash, what do you tell the cops?
Well, that's
Tell them
it.
what you saw. You didn't cause the car crash.
Yeah.
Well,
Tell them what you saw.
Are you
okay, wait.
this is
implying
that the person's like vindictive of the past relationship,
This is implying that either, one, you just hate the person because they did something awful, or 2, you killed them in some kind of like set up car crash, so you don't want to call a cop. I would say appears to be an accident and we need an ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't hurry. I don't know.
I don't have a lot of hate for any of my exes, to be honest with you. So I would
I
definitely
don't want any of them to die. Jesus.
No. Well, maybe one. No. None.
It's a little suspicious, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little specific and suspicious.
Cousin Muzza says, are you worried that this week's data collection on whether or not freelance trials end up being a success is skewed due to the player population being enticed to play with double rep in the trial's weekly triumph? I feel as if it will hamper true data collection. It's definitely going to add more people.
Well, here's the problem. I think they're up against the issue of trying to get people to play the playlist regardless, because they're probably aware that numbers are dwindling per weekend. So they don't want to have a freelance, because the flip side of it is they have a freelance weekend and there is no draw to get people in, and the numbers suffer regardless.
Right.
Like the numbers are going to look poor.
I mean,
even more so because of that.
The variables change every week. They've never done consistent data collection because something's been changing each week. The map changes, the pinnacle reward changes, the player base is changing because they're getting more loot and the loot's not being updated. So you're going to have a natural drop off and decline. And I see the point that will it spike? It might be more than usual, but I also think a lot of people have got a lot of their loot already just from we're sort of week 6 of trials basically of the revamp. So yeah. I know I've got most of my loot and I've only played, I played a bit, but yeah.
Cal in chat said something that I've
yeah.
said about freaking Iron Banner before, is that let's talk about the fact that the solo trials playlist being a smaller menu icon will skew the data.
Yeah, it really will.
It really will. They have to switch it because people will just go, "Oh yeah, load up trials. Let's go."
Imagine the number of people are going to be like, "Oh, it's freelance trials weekend. I'm going to go," and then they click on the trials button, and then get matched up against a team and say, "It's busted. I'm done with this garbage."
God damn.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Flip them.
Yeah, you should just flip them.
Because then people will be like, what? Huh? And then I'll start looking. Oh, that's where I click if I'm in a team.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wally Spookington says, does an emu think a kebab needs a skewer? What's the lore on that?
And is it a burrito?
It's a what? Oh, okay. Does an emu think a kebab needs a skewer? Don't you? That's what.
How many tacos
Do you
from
call
Taco
it
Tuesday is it?
Kebabs with a skewer?
Yeah.
Meat stick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call them kebabs too, but we also call the doner kebabs like, oh, no, let's not get into fucking conversation. Burrito, taco, tortilla, kebab conversation.
What do the emus think? As our resident emu expert.
Okay, well, no, like I told you, the emus like the ice cream. There's an ice cream factory down south where I live, and the emus steal the ice cream. They do not care about kebabs. There you go.
They have
They
no
like ice
opinion on
cream.
kebabs.
They eat ice creams. Yep.
Spooker Stacker says, pick one change you'd love to see in Destiny, then the person clockwise gets the monkey paw you.
All right.
Fucked up, Spooker.
Do I get to like remove your life? Or what's going on here?
Monkey paw, you get like you know how you wish for something, and then the monkey paw grants your wish, but it fucks up the wish, makes it horrible.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I
It's
got a
all
wish.
gonna
See
eat-
if
okay.
you got real on this. This is my wish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that there was a narration option in Destiny where you could select the lore entries and it would be read to you, a bit like Mass Effect or whatever. Like you could make a curated playlist and you could dial it to 11 and you could sit in strike listens and it would just read through the lore.
And the narrator is Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
Gilbert, hey?
Gottfried.
Godfried.
Mylan apparently doesn't know.
Stand-up comedian, voice actor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, just
Very
listen to his voice.
Very
You get it.
distinct voice.
Okay. Okay, I got it.
I feel like it's quite easy to mess that one up. You just pick a voice no one wants to listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is Fran Drescher? The nanny? Nobody. I'm too old.
Oh, yeah. I know Frank.
No, I
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I know.
I get that. Yeah, I got that one. Yeah. I'm still watching Gilbert.
All of the stuff in the Eververse store. Eververse store closes down. All the stuff in the Eververse store gets put into the loot pool.
Okay.
You have to pay $40 extra to gain access to the new loot pool.
Ooh.
I'd pay that, to be honest with you. That seems like a good deal.
A loot pool expansion.
It's now the Witch Queen Super Deluxe.
I'd pay that.
The bar's like, yeah, I'd pay that to have all the Eververse in the. That'd be great.
Destiny becomes like Tarkov, and you have to load individual bullets,
Ooh.
and you also have to pay
The
per
loot
bullet.
changes.
You have to buy bullet packs.
Super
You have to
energy.
buy bullets.
Super energy bricks you got to load in with.
Zachary Richin says, okay, when knocking boots on Halloween, is it called a monster mash or a graveyard smash?
I'm gonna go with Monster Mash because I don't know if I want to smash graveyard.
Well, yeah.
Or anything to do with graveyard.
Yeah, the graveyard implies necrophilia, like pretty heavily.
Yeah, that really
you know,
that's a turn off for me personally. I'm not
Yeah.
kink shaming anybody.
Yeah.
It's illegal, I think. Right?
I mean,
Necrophilia?
A
Probably.
monster mash.
I think it's illegal.
Monster mash, you might call it your monster down there. So it's, it's knocking monsters.
Yeah, as long as it's consensual. I think that monsters are free range, right?
Yeah. Monster Mash is great.
I think if you see some dude walking out of a graveyard with a big grin from ear to ear, you're thinking, holy fuck, stay away from that person.
Bishan Maximoff says, if Vanguard went trick-or-treating, what would each head person's costume be? Zavala, Ikora, Shaq, Saint, Cade, Hawthorne. Pick a costume for somebody.
Well, I mean, there might be a couple of people that want to use Shax as head, and they can meet Mara, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Monster
True.
Mash.
True.
I always thought in Black Panther, remember his guard were the women? I thought they already look like Ikora, so it's a no-brainer for her. She's already got the costume on.
True.
No, she would look great, and they're powerful and awesome.
Yeah, Wakanda's
She's
Basically,
powerful
she would just
and
have to get
awesome.
a staff, and she's already there. Like it looks like they copied her design.
Yep. Yeah,
That would be a cool crossover. If they gave them outfits and
that would be, yeah. Let's see. Someone's gonna go as the pyramid ship. Who's it gonna be?
I think that maybe the Drifter. He shows up and thinks it's funny. I know the Guardians are traumatized.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
But he's just like, stupid.
Memeladin says, how will you manage to juggle everything happening in February?
I won't.
I'm just
gonna have to pick and choose.
You know, I'm gonna play a lot of Destiny in 3 days. Hope that I get through the majority of what I need to do that week. Because, it's a weekly content game. So maybe I can finish the week in 3 days. And then I can dedicate, I want to dedicate at least 2 days to Elden Ring when it first comes out, where it's like, I'm just playing Elden Ring. I'm just diving into it. Yeah. And then I can start mixing them, and I think it might be okay.
Plus, I mean, like, how many developers, how many Bungie devs do you think are going to be playing Elden Ring? Right?
All of them.
All of them. They're going to be playing it. They're going to be like, yeah, we got the live game, but we got to play this.
If anybody who doesn't know, February 2022 is like, it looks like it's going to be like a huge video game month. I'm just going to read off some of the some of the bigger releases. So Life is Strange Remastered Collection is coming out on the 1st. Dying Light 2 is coming out on the 4th. Dynasty Warrior 9/15 is coming out on the 15th. King of Fighters 15 is coming out on the 17th. Horizon Forbidden West is coming out on the 18th. The Witch Cream is coming out on the 26th. I'm sorry, the 22nd. Sifu is also coming out on the 22nd. Monarch is also coming out on the 22nd. Elden Ring is coming out on the 25th, and then Saint Row is also coming out on the 25th. I think Saint Row is that a reboot of the Saints Row franchise? Is that right?
I know.
I don't know what they're doing with it, but I know it's a new game.
Big old month. Horizon Forbidden West, I'm just as excited about as anything else on this list. Sifu, I think, is probably the same for me. That game looks like it's really going to be something special. I mean, there's some big... Dying Light 1 was a really fun game. Dying Light 2, I can imagine it's going to be good. A lot of stuff.
I think I'm just going to go hard for 3 days and hope I can get as much done as possible, and then just try and ultimately you have to just enjoy the game. So I want to give, Witch Queen is going to have 3 days completely on its own where I can just dedicate time to it. And then I also want to give Elden Ring, a couple days where I can just dive into it.
You could probably split it after that though, right? You could probably do a little bit of Destiny grind and then get stuck into
Listen, if you just stream for like 8 to 10 hours every time, you can do 4 and 4.
Twice a day.
You can do 5 and 5.
Yeah, I just stream 24 hours a day.
Easy.
I don't know what everyone's complaining about. It's easy.
Yeah, it's with this news, right? I was already kind of bumped Horizon Forbidden West because I was like, it's just gonna be impossible. But now I'm like, I definitely can't play because I can't go super hard on Horizon Forbidden West and then super hard on Destiny and then super hard. When does it end? It never will.
Right.
That's gonna be too much.
I mean, this year, some games just got bumped, right? And that's why I played Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart in September, because I just couldn't fit it in when it came out. It happens, you know.
Yeah, and for obviously
That's
it's
just
depending
response.
on what games you're most looking forward to. And for me, Elden Ring is up there with any game that I've ever been super excited about. So it's one that I
Yeah.
definitely want to play when it comes out. Could you wait? Yes, of course. But it's a game I've been waiting for a long time.
Yep.
I'm more excited about the Witch Cream than I am about the last couple of yearly expansions too. Actually, this
Same,
one
yeah.
for some reason just. I think it's the lead up of the season, season of Lost, season of Splicer, the way the story's been leading up. I'm really looking forward to where the story's going, what they're going to do with the campaign, just everything about it. I'm really looking forward to. So I'm just kind of more into the Witch Cream than I am about other expansions lately.
Yeah.
Yep.
Atheon's doggo, but he has a fancy hat, says, what is your favorite cheese to put on a burger? Kind of depends on the burger.
No, I don't think
My
I ever
go-to
really
is
put
definitely
fancy
American.
cheese. Yeah. I don't really put fancy cheese on burger.
Yeah. I'm not really eating dairy anymore. But when I was, I feel like a really solid Swiss cheese on a burger. Maybe some mushrooms on there too. Delicious.
I can tell you right now.
don't
Now I think I
remember.
might have to get a burger for lunch. Like, this
Swiss.
is actually making me hungry.
I had an
making me
Impossible
hungry.
Burger last night. It didn't have cheese on it, but it was delicious.
A what?
Impossible Burger
Well, how'd you do it
with
then?
onion rings. What? What'd you say?
How'd you do the impossible? It was impossible.
How
How is this possible if you had an impossible
how did you do it?
burger?
How did you eat it? It was impossible. Lol.
What are you
What?
doing?
Wait,
what are you
what?
doing with that?
What are you doing with that? It's impossible. What do you mean? What is that?
It's
Why
a
do you got-
non-meat burger, but it's one that got super
Oh.
well known because it looks like meat and even can kind of
Tastes
have
like-
blood like meat.
Yeah, it's got beet juice to give like the blood experience.
Yeah.
Coming out of yeah.
The blood
Right.
experience. This
Yep. The bloody patty.
It's called what? The Impossible Burger.
Impossible Burger. Yep.
And where do you buy it from?
You can buy it in stores here now. Like the you can buy the meat itself.
Yeah, they got the
Like,
Beyond
is
Meat.
it like
Whatever.
frozen patties or something, or is it?
They
I
got
don't
Beyond
think
Meat and
Impossible has-
Impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're. I think Impossible is the restaurant version where like the restaurants have it, and then Beyond Meat. I think and Beyond Meat's the one where you can buy in store, and some restaurants serve Beyond. Like Del Taco actually has Beyond tacos, which they're pretty tasty. Surprising. Yeah. I've been enjoying a few of those.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's scary. I'm like, what's
Did
Tastes
they
like
screw it
meat.
up? Did they
Tastes kinda
swap
like
a
meat.
real patty
yeah,
in there?
I've
is
like
it-
given it to Tomo before, and he's like, I don't know. We're just sitting there like,
Yeah, if you haven't
I
had
don't
one
know.
before and someone doesn't tell you, like they're surprisingly convincing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
especially
once
from
you
some
put it with
restaurants.
everything else, like, once you
Exactly.
put it with the cheese and the sauces and stuff, like.
Mm-hmm.
So is this the lab meat, or is this just plant meat,
Plant meat. Yep.
whatever it is?
Yeah.
right?
So again, there's various varieties of them, but like the Impossible one has done a pretty good job of being a fake beef patty.
Yes, but if you go to a good restaurant and they make an Impossible Burger with the seasonings that they use, it's really hard
Right.
to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can also, you can go to a Burger King, get an Impossible Burger, and it's
Yeah.
more noticeable than it is in a super
Yep.
fancy one.
Is that
Also-
any good? Like, would you eat that?
It's
A Burger King Impossible
you
Burger?
get to have like the crappy burger experience,
yeah.
where it's like a fast food burger experience, which honestly you don't have normally if you go be a vegetarian or vegan or something. You don't have that experience. So yeah, it's kind of nice.
Yeah. There's a place in Sacramento called Patch Burger, and those are really tasty, greasy, like burgers. If you're a vegan, they're not healthy for you, so
No.
it's not health food. They still have
No.
just as much like saturated fat as a regular hamburger, so you're not. And same thing with like the sodium and all that. So you're just not having animal meat. Essentially, you're still having some stuff that's going to clog your arteries. So.
Eggplant Volcano
Interesting.
says, Briar Rabbit, you were totally right about Eververse. First, they started charging for the loot in a looter shooter, and now they're charging for the shooter. Everything should just be in the game for one price. I'm sure you'll cover this, but wanted to say you're right. Eggplant Volcano, you're the best. I don't know though if I 100% agree with you. I mean, they got to charge for something. Like, they got to make money. Like, I don't like the Eververse because the loot in a looter shooter, I think, it's kind of like the point, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, they got to charge for something. I don't think the pricing structure is bad. I think it's just weird that they didn't include the. Like, it's weird that they took the dungeons and just kind of separated them. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's just confusing. Like,
It is confusing.
we're all Destiny players, and we're like, huh?
Yeah, I think what's best summarized it, clarity and consistency, I think, is what they should decide. If dungeons then are included in the next expansion, you're gonna feel historically ripped off. Because like you get the outrage again, you goes, hey, wait a second, I had to pay extra for this last time, and now it's included back in. Like, pick something, stick with it.
All right, Ringo McRingoson. Which of the following seems the least false?
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
this again.
Wait. So all these are
Myelin.
true. All these are true,
All of
right?
these. Oh wait, you said Myelin, so maybe they're not.
Myelin was actually in Game of Thrones. Do you know his IRL name? Bungie has a team dedicated to develop more and more ridiculous ways how Telesto breaks the game. Briar actually tastes quite bad.
This is Briar propaganda.
Yeah. That's the least likely to be true.
I mean, the least likely to be false is that Myelin was actually in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he was 100% in Game of Thrones. I watched it. I
I've
witnessed
seen it.
Seen it. Seen that scene.
Those ladies were not acting.
It's really, out of all the people you can be compared to in Game of Thrones, it's not a bad one.
He's not bad. Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's better than the dude.
The dude without
Like-
a podrick. You could say.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Red says, what D1 raid do you want to come back based solely on its weapons?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, it's weapons.
Rise of Iron's Wrath of Machine. It's pretty easy for me.
What were they again? I can't even remember.
Wrath was good.
The Genesis chain, they had like almost all of them are good. You like the sniper, the machine gun.
I want Crota so I can get the auto rifle back that you have to go through the whole quest through
Abyss
hard
Defiant?
mode.
Oh,
Yes.
you mean the Crux of Crota?
Yeah, to get the Crux of Crota, and then you gotta find the thing to drop randomly, and then you get to do the raid, and then you can.
That was the hardest I've ever worked for something in a video game.
Yeah. It was a fun. The last time I went back to Destiny 1, which was a while ago, I equipped Necrochasm, and I was having a blast. It's so fun.
They
You
left
pop
it in a good
people's
spot,
heads.
right?
Yeah, it's in a good spot.
Once they fixed it, it was like, man, this is a great gun.
It's good, and then you pop their head, and it goes. Rawr.
Yeah.
It's great.
Necrochasm is good.
Necrochasm's fun.
Yeah, remember when they first launched it, the archetype already sucked, and then the Cursed Thrall explosion was a chance. It wasn't guaranteed every time you had a headshot. Like
And the recoil was all over the place.
It
yeah,
was
because the
very bad.
archetype was just like, ugh, why would it was Atheon's epilogue? Like, why would you want to use this? And then they fixed
The
it.
Atheon's epilogue had void energy, so that's actually pretty good
Oh,
used in the
yeah.
right situation.
No, when they first launched, Atheon's epilogue was trash. And then
No, it
they
wasn't.
fixed. Then they
Atheon's
fixed.
epilogue was the auto rifle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome in a Nightfall with void damage.
it was unwieldy.
It was
Like-
awesome. It did
It did
heavy
rate
machine
well.
gun damage as a primary rifle.
This is how we decide who gets kicked off the island tonight. Who's correct? Was Atheon's
Year
epilogue
one.
trash when it first came out?
Yeah, year one.
It was only good in a Nightfall with void damage as the modifier. But in that situation, it was spectacular.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good qualifier to make it a good weapon. That archetype sucked until what was the bolt hose? What was the meta with
from Trials?
Yeah, from Trials. Same archetype for that gun.
Yeah.
I'm like forgetting the name of that gun.
Doctor of Passion.
Dr. Passion, yes. When that came out.
Bullets.
Yes, that one. 54 bullets and it didn't hit him. God damn. It's like, yes, but yeah, the Doctrine, that one, when they fixed it and that thing came out, then it was the heyday for that archetype.
Yeah, that thing was also a laser beam.
Yeah. And I think it was around the same time when they fixed the Necrochasm. So Necrochasm felt good again.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I think Kingsfall weapons probably look the coolest. I like
they do look very cool. They were
hand cannon. I wanted to be so good, but it was so garbage.
It was so bad.
The way you broke it in half to reload it, it was so cool.
It was the slowest reload, unfortunately.
Brutally slow.
It was all over the place. Oh man, but yeah, those weapons looked
really cool. Awesome. You're right. They did look cool.
Yeah.
I like that sniper rifle though. Legit. I actually like that.
Yeah,
that
was good. Yeah.
It had like the max aim assist in the game, I think.
People are still reloading that hand cannon
to this day. Matt says, "What is your favorite non-conventional way of dispatching guardians, boops, unicorns, knife trick shots?"
That would imply
boops were pretty good. Booping somebody off a map so that you didn't actually kill them, you just watched them fly off a map. That was pretty quality.
Killing them with the Lorentz now, if they're like by an edge and you kill their teammate and their teammate goes flying over the edge,
and they're a warlock, so they can't jump. Oh man,
that's freaking funny. That's great. That happened on Distant Shore. I killed someone at B, which is it's wide open. There's drops all over it, and I just saw a teammate go woo flying past. Same with tether, like tethering someone jumping over something is really funny. Trying to get people to fall off the map is fun.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Lord Bira says, "What random roll would you want on an emu?"
Random roll on an emu.
Rampage.
Well, you wouldn't need mobility because they obviously run real quick.
Yeah, they got speed.
They got speed. But do they have the damage? I mean, give it rampage because I think a rampaging emu might be terrifying.
That's what I'm saying, right? That'd be get out of the way, right?
Have you learned nothing from the Great Australian Emu War?
Yeah, and they're obviously resilient. They can take a lot of bullets. So give them some DPS output, and you're set.
Very hard to get headshots on.
Yeah. Desperado.
Desperado.
I don't know what that looks like on an emu, but
increases
probably terrifying.
Their archetype speed.
Got a great
their peck per seconds.
Yeah. Per second. Like a woodpecker.
Do emus do that thing like ostriches do, where they bury their head in the sand?
I don't know. And do they do that?
Ostriches do it. Yeah.
Or is that like a cartoon thing that got spread?
I'm pretty sure that's a real thing, yeah.
Right. Don't know.
Do emus...
Did I send you guys the pictures of the emus in the outback?
No, they do not.
Car?
Yeah, but you sent us a bunch of donkey pictures. It was weird, man. Do you know the difference between a donkey and an emu?
I Googled it, and apparently this is something that Alexa answers a lot. And apparently, no, they do not. They do not bury their heads.
All right.
Emus don't?
Emus don't. Yeah.
Does that mean they're like brave ostrich?
When they won a war, mate. Of course they're brave.
They won a war. I wonder how many animals have won a war against a country.
Oh. I feel like the Australians have lost several wars to animals. The rabbits won a war, right? I've heard cats are winning a war currently.
Yeah, we lost against. We got movies about the rabbits, mate. Rabbit proof fence, mate. They're running wild over there. Rabbits, cats, yeah. Feral cats are a big issue. They kill a lot.
No, the first time I saw a hunter holding up like a house cat, like it was a surprise, I was very concerned, and I did some reading. Apparently, hunting house cats or feral house cats in Australia is a thing.
Yeah, it's a
because
lot of
just overrunning.
Yeah, a lot of feral cats, and they kill a lot of Australia has a lot of marsupials, native marsupials and birds and shit.
This
They
is
just
what
get
happens when you send a bunch
killed.
of criminals to an island.
Yeah, what do you expect? We're racing cockroaches, gambling, and letting our cats run free and breed into feral cats.
God, I
So
want
that's
to move to
funny.
Australia. Sounds awesome.
Hey, so I had to read up on ostriches as well, since we all
Yes.
believe that ostriches bury their heads in the sand.
I wasn't so sure.
It's a lot of this says ostriches misconception about it, about a myth originating in ancient Rome, pervasive that's used as a common metaphor for someone avoiding the problems. So it's metaphorical, burying your head in the sand like an ostrich, but really ostriches don't do it.
Why'd they pick ostrich?
I don't know. That's
Out
what
of
Google
all the
says.
animals.
Can you really
Yeah.
trust Google?
Right? I'm going to go on believing that ostriches bury their head in the sand.
I personally believe that Google has an agenda. I don't exactly know what it is, but maybe this is part of it.
They want to know what you're doing at any given time, at any point, and what you're about to search. They want to predict what you're about to search to then bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because their big heads go down and because they got small heads. Maybe like perspective or something. It looks like they're behind a rock, and people are like, "Oh my god, it's burying its head in the sand."
Yeah, maybe.
That would make sense, yeah. Like how it got started.
Fazimoto says, what is the correct way to wipe? Back to front or front to back? Well, what are you wiping?
Why not?
Your butt.
Yeah, how about a blast of water?
Yeah, true. Neither.
the best way to
Bidet.
I like to spin it.
Briar uses the entire toilet roll every time he goes. He just puts it on his finger and spins it around.
Okay, I actually pictured Briar spinning on the toilet for some reason.
Same.
Makes way more sense with the twisting. Yeah.
Ship
Newt,
that.
Newt hashtag. I believe that we have talked about that before. So
Yeah.
Newt Black Lives Matter says, so Tefty is a narc, Watts is a cannibal, Briar is a trust fund baby. What does that make Mylan? Huge
Aldrich.
dick doctor.
Do you know when I spoke to my MMA like coach, like jiu-jitsu MMA coach, and I was talking about PhD, and he just leans in and he goes, whenever I hear PhD, I just think it stands for pretty huge dick. And I'm like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
not accurate, but there you go.
The best, I think that's the best stereotype that out of all of us.
Yeah. It could have been a lot worse.
It can still become a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it time. Last question of the night. Matt the Rascal says, Festival of Lost during the Season of Lost versus the Dawning during the Season of the Dawning. Who wins? You want me to read that one again?
Yeah.
Festival of the Lost during the Season of the Lost versus the Dawning during the Season of the Dawning. Who wins? I'd say Festival of the Lost during Season of the Lost.
Yeah.
I can't remember the Dawning. What happened to the Dawning?
Dawning during the Season of the Dawning. I think it was just a normal Dawning. Is there anything special?
Honestly, this is one of the first little events. I often just skip them, to be honest. It's actually the first one
I do
actually
too,
really
yeah.
participated in and relatively enjoyed it. So
I feel like
have
the
to go for
Dawning
the season.
especially is mostly an Eververse holiday.
mm.
And that's it. We have answered the
Whoa.
world's problems.
Wow, we did it.
Once again, you're welcome.
Congratulations.
We'll maybe have some more research on koala vaccines for you next week.
I've got it in my notes.
Yeah.
Yep. So
I'm going to spend the week photoshopping koala anti-vax protests.
over there with their little signs.
That's right.
Koala Karens
The government's
out
cut
there.
Briar off.
Oh
How
man.
fast can I get kicked off of Twitter if I start making koala my body, my choice.
Oh man, that's great. All right. Well, that's the episode. 262 episodes of DCP Live.
Wow, that's a lot.
Greg, that is. Congrats on making it through it. You did good. Definitely did good. Mylan, what are you going to be doing this week? What do you got in store?
I'm not too sure. I'm actually taking time off from making my typical YouTube videos because I'm trying to finish my actual PhD. I've got this final bit to go. So
For the
I don't
girls.
know.
I watched your video today, Mylan, and it broke my heart. I really felt for you.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, I have recorded already some lore topics with a couple of streamers where it's a bit. We basically had like a 3-hour conversation. They just asked me anything, so that'll go up on the channel, and then we'll obviously do some trials. I think we're going to do it on Sunday night, are we?
We were talking
Whenever
about
you
that.
guys are down.
Yeah.
I'm down whenever.
Yeah, I think that was a plan. So I'm not too sure what I'm doing tomorrow. Don't know. Maybe Back for Blood. I want to sneak in some Back for Blood at some point, and that's about it.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Watts, how about you?
I'm going to be trying the solo flawless freelance list thingy trials node.
Yeah. The
Playing that.
little dot up to the upper
little
right.
node. I'm going to
Yeah.
try that out and see how it goes. And then we'll probably switch over to playing more They Always Run, which is a new game that came out yesterday, which it is literally a Mandalorian game. It's a Star Wars game. Briar, don't you think they keep talking about the Empire and Imperials? Come on.
Man,
It's
it really does. I think you nailed it when you talked about those concept art sketches that they play at the end of Mandalorian episodes. Man, it's got that feel.
It does. It looks like Mandalorian concept art in a video game. So I will be playing more of that tomorrow as well.
Nice. Briar, how about you?
I'm
Maybe
honestly
stroking
I have
that
just
3090?
been downloading. That's what I'm doing. I'm downloading all the games I played in the last 5 years on PC and seeing what they look like at 4K 120 hertz.
Does it run Crisis?
I haven't tried yet. I got it to the list. There's a Crisis Remastered out right now, right? It
Gonna
just
try
came
it out, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I'm Teft, and I'll be playing some Trials this weekend. Like you said, we're talking about Sunday. May or may not be streaming that. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Also, if I released that cover that I was talked about last week.
Yes, that was good.
That was fun. Thanks. Yeah. It was a
Listen,
fun take.
Now
on
we
the
get
song,
to
too.
know what
that
it
was
was. It was
Take On Me by Aha.
Yeah, that was really good.
It was great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So there it is. That's the show. That's episode 262 of DCP Live. Thanks for hanging out. Shout out to our Patreon members and our Twitch subs for keeping the shows going. You guys are awesome. And we'll see you next week for some more
See you
content.
next
Oh,
week.
spooky week, right?
Oh, don't need a
Spooky
costume?
week. Yes. Yeah, it's next week.
Probably.
Yeah.
Next week is costume day.
Mine says it's in the mail.
Raise your hand if you haven't put any thought into your costume at all.
Oh, I figured
I
mine out.
thought about it because we
so
talked
mine-
about this last week. So then I was like, I should
Yeah.
probably start thinking about it.
Mine has a delivery that's between, like, before the show and the day after the show, and I'm like, oh man,
Oof.
I really hope this gets here beforehand.
You might have
Hope
to
it's
pull
not
a
FedEx.
Briar.
Yeah.
Get Briar in.
You might have to.
Hope
right.
it's not FedEx.
yeah. Whew, please no. All right, that's the show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.